Wasp and Venom. The music's getting harder and faster every day. Part of this furious vanguard is a band from Ottawa called Exciter, who played the concert hall recently.
Couldn't get a Canadian record deal for our first album. The result, it was on Importing Canada. Our music does, you know, it doesn't sound Canadian, if you know what I mean. It sounds more British. We pattern ourselves after British-style heavy metal. So I guess, you know, kids pick it up, hey, it's an import. It sounds British. They must be from England. They're not from here, you know.
Now, you're described as having a massive cult following in Europe. Does that mean that you're selling hundreds of thousands of records there?
Well, not really hundreds of thousands. We're selling quite a bit of albums. It seems like the kids in Europe today seem to be picking up that, you know, they've had their fill of Priest and Sabbath and that, and they seem to be going to more towards the Venom and the you know, Metallica and Exciter and Anvil and stuff like that. The younger metal, they seem to be really getting into that. So as a result, you know, we just fit right in with what they're into, you know, all of metal at wicked speeds, you know, as heavy as possible. So they just bang their head on the stage to it. It's great.
It seems to me a lot of the lyrics in heavy metal these days has to do with the Dungeons and Dragons craze. A lot of medieval fantasies of butchery and witch burning, the kind of Conan the Destroyer scene. How come?
A lot of it is sometimes you run out of concepts, you know, and you gotta write about heavy you know, subjects and death and destruction. You can only write so many songs about war, and then you'll see a movie like Conan the Destroyer and you get inspired and you go and you write lyrics like, you know, he was slayed by the blade of the sword, and the metalers are in the front and they're freaking out. They love lyrics like that, you know. It's better than saying I'm walking down the street smiling at people that I meet, you know.
Yeah.
It's heavy, and it's, you know, the medieval days were heavy, and it's, you know, it's, you know, certain death for most people. You know, you got to fight to stay alive, and that's what metal is all about. You know, it's a fight. Stand up and fight for metal. That's what it is.
I don't want to over-intellectualize or anything, but do you think that all this death and destruction fantasy has anything to do with the fact that we're sitting in the shadow of a nuclear war?
I think a lot of it does. Like the song "Violence and Force" from our latest album, title track, was you know, written about nuclear destruction, right? World War III, which was on a compilation album 2 years ago by the band, was written, you know, World War III, nuclear destruction. It is like a shadow, you know, on everyone, but it's also a very heavy subject, you know, and kids can relate to that, you know. It's nuclear war, it's heavy. World War III, right on. That's a great concept, you know.
This is the concert hall, man! I said, do you feel like pounding some metal tonight? That's more like it. Violence and force.
ahead on the new music, Max Almy, Twisted Sister, and more.